Internet. Oh, this broadcast is live. That's what the thing says now. Hello, Caimh here. I hope you're well. I hope somebody's there. Wonderwife's going to tell me in a minute if people are coming in. If you are there, do put in a comment thingy to say hello. It'd be very nice to know I'm not talking to myself. I've had a very exciting day. The book's been coming out. Thank you for everyone who's been tweeting and buying the book and stuff. That's been lovely. Hey, people are here. Hot Springs, Arkansas. Russ, lovely to see you. Keith, nice to see you, buddy. Yeah, I think I'll be honest with you. I've never done like something like this before. All my friends are the stand-up comedians, and they've been doing this to try and make a crust, like Zoom gigs and stuff. And I've seen a lot of them complaining about it. I'm like, oh, people are coming in. Hello, people. And I now realise in the space of 30 seconds how weird this is. Just to give you some context, by the way, I am currently in my writing office in the bottom of the back garden because after a day dealing with me on a book coming out, my wife has quite rightly thrown me out of the house. But I am in my writing office. For those of you who are regular subscribers to my podcast or my email list, this is the office that was falling apart because I was slightly too fat and sitting in the wrong part. By the way, big shock news up front. I'm pleased to say, while I was in Ireland for a month, the office seems to have settled back. And it's now unsubsiding itself. So there's some big news for everybody. There's loads of people. Hello, this is brilliant. Boston, quite a lot of Americans. Fingers crossed we're hopefully messing up quite a few people's work days because let's try and take down the system, kids. Where's Diller? Diller is currently upstairs with Wonderwife in the main house. Or the kitchen, as we also call it. He's had a very exciting day himself. Diller has been off with his Auntie Kathy, who is our dog sitter. Having a socially distanced doggy date. The reason we did that was I had to do 3 live radio interviews today, and we realized quite late yesterday that the dog will go mental if anybody rings the doorbell, and everybody rings the doorbell. So we thought, rather than that happen when I'm talking to Simon Mayo on national radio, we should probably let the dog go for a little trip. So yes, it's been an exciting day. There's been quite a lot of interest, which is pretty cool. I've been told we're going up charts and whatnot, which is good. I'll be honest, the publishers were very impressed with the amount of reviews, and I went, hang on a sec, I think I'll find the Bunny Mafia got an email today. Those review numbers are going to go through the roof because the Bunny Mafia know how to help a book. Hello from Scunthorpe. Oh my God, we're getting all the exotic locations now. Walney Island, hello. Betty King, hiya Betty, how are you? Hello from Scotland. Ian, I love the podcast, thank you very much. South Carolina, quite a few Americans. Wonderful. Hello from Gloucester. Hello, Sarah. How are you? I know you well, my love. Will you share some of your note cards with us? Well, it's funny you should mention that, Jim, because I was probably going to reveal this later on, but I'll do anything for a cheap bit of excitement. The Stranger Times book that you're all bought by now, I'm assuming you've all bought. You're probably reading it while you're listening to this, I would assume. But if you look at that behind you, ladies and gentlemen, that is book 2, which I submitted to the publisher before Christmas. That's right, the first draft. But that's, if you're genuinely interested, we'll go through it later on. We'll talk through it because we're going to do, by the way, we're going to have a few fun things. One friend of mine called Marx Day, he's going to come in a minute. He's going to interview me, asking me questions. Any questions you've got, by the way, chuck him in the comments there. Wonderwife is then going to pass them on to Mark or ask him herself. And don't worry, you'll get to see her a bit as well. But Mark's going to be doing some interviewing. Mark, the author of a wonderful book, by the way, that's coming out on February the 4th. Or 3rd, one of those two. It's definitely start of February. The Crow Folk by Marx Day. I loved it. I gave him a very nice quote. Can't remember what it was now, but I know it was golden. I didn't say it was like Terry Pratchett because everyone else did. And I got quite a few of those quotes as well. So I was trying to vary it for him. But it was a wonderful book, wonderful man. He's going to be on interviewing me. We're going to have what we think is a publishing first, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to do a live reading of the acknowledgements from my own book. Lee Child doesn't do that. To be fair, Lee Child doesn't have to do that, but I'm going to do it because the acknowledgements from this book, we're pretty pleased with. Someone's already said they're better than the book. First off, that person's gone now, but still, it's been very, very nice. And then for a finale at the end, we're going to have some music, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we're going to rock out. Got a brilliant friend of mine, Duncan Oakley. You might have seen him again if you're on the email list. He did a brilliant song last year for my sister's 50th birthday. I got him to do a commissioned piece for my sister's birthday, which was absolutely brilliant. By the way, if you know any musicians, if you know any comedians, anyone like that, folks, I'm sure most of you are aware of this. lockdown, which we now have in the UK and America. Well, I think everything's fine in America. I've not been watching the news. Is everything going well over there? Last I heard, it was all going well. But yeah, anyone you know is a musician and stuff, do support them any way you can, because it's a rough old time. I genuinely have a bit of survivor's guilt because I left the comedy circuit just before the comedy circuit stopped being a thing. So fingers crossed that's coming back soon, because I know a lot of great people who've been sitting at home writing gags, and there's going to be some cracking material coming out soon. Let's see who else we've got. It's brilliant. Loughborough. One of my favourite jokes was a lady called Susan Murray was talking about an Australian hitchhiker, Eugenie from Loughborough. And my favourite one was she was this I've ruined the joke now by telling you you're Loughborough. But anyway, just doing this thing, picking up an Australian hitchhiker going, I'm trying to go to Loughborough. And yes, would love to meet Wonderwife. Oh, she's coming. Hello from Oz. Good Lord, Russell. What time? It's got to be 6 a.m. there now. I mean, to be fair, Russell, you're in the right place. I'm pretty sure if this was the film World War Z, which, let's be fair, it might be, you're that ship that everyone got on. That's Australia. I mean, to be fair, that's New Zealand. Australia, though, you're pretty good, though. So I hope everyone's keeping well and safe and all. And is that the garden house you broke? This is the garden house I broke. Yeah, that is exactly correct. Jeffrey, these are the strangest times. Indeed, they are. Hi from tomorrow in New Zealand. Oh, brilliant. Hello, New Zealand. I love you. A big fan of New Zealand. Barnsley girl there. Hello. Yes, I know quite a lot of your rugby players I've known over the years. Wonderful men. Australians. There's actually a man who's Australian, played rugby for Ireland, called Tom Court. If you want to pick one person who's helped my career, first off, that's Wonderwife. Whew, that was a lucky break. But if you have to pick somebody else, a wonderful man called Tom Court played rugby for Ireland, for Ulster, and he played for London Irish. And when I was starting off, couldn't get any press attention, which is why the last week has been so cool, because we've had a load of it, which has been brilliant. But the Irish Post, the expat paper in Britain, Tom Court, lovely man that he is, read the book, enjoyed it. And when I said I couldn't get a review anywhere, he offered to write a review, and he got a review into the Irish Post. It was our first press, gave us a brilliant comedic thriller as a thing on our adverts. I love that man. I'm sending him free copies of every book I've ever written. He's a wonderful man. He's now a doctor of sports psychology in Australia. Very smart man. Right, hello from Philadelphia. Oh, that's wonderful. We've got so many people here. I had to buy The Stranger Times on Kindle because the US doesn't have a functional government, so the Postal Service takes 5 years. Ouch, yes. Of all the things that man had a fight with, the Postal Service has got to be one of the weirder ones. But luckily it didn't work. I mean, I'm not supposed to say politics, but come on. I'll be a big Barack Obama fan. Joe Biden, he's just not that guy. That'll do. Anyway, I shouldn't say that. Next thing we're saying stuff about Boris Johnson, that'll go badly as well. Right, we should get people on. Wonderwife, if you're there, please put yourself on screen. The people demand to see you. There she is.
Oh, I've cut myself in half.
I was going to say, just move. There she is.
Look, I know how to move my head and everything.
Look, there she is. She is real. I know a lot of people thought she was just some bot I'd invented. She's definitely real. There she is, my wonderful wife.
Kind of orb going through the middle of my face.
There's a bit of a light thing.
I know. Look more angelic.
Yes.
That's what I'm going for.
And by the way, I know a lot of you are sitting there now looking at this side-by-side picture going, how has this happened? In answer to that, I still don't know. As one of my comedian friends, you say, what was the theme of Quee's wedding? And he answered, I think it was, how the hell has he pulled this off? Nikki Harroday. Nikki, how are you? Lovely. Oh, Nikki. Oh, I know Nikki was going to be here. Brilliant singer. She sang at our wedding. There's a link for you. Wonderful singer. We got a band together for one time only. We did Come Together by the Beatles and then half a Helter Skelter. And incidentally, Duncan, who's playing at the end of the gig tonight, at the show tonight, also played at our wedding. Him and his band played the whole thing. They managed to knock the sound off twice.
Essentially, what's going on here is it's kind of a reunion of our wedding, but just with more guests.
Yeah. And frankly,
then it was 6 years to almost the day, give or take a week or two. So sorry we couldn't invite you then, but we're so glad you joined us tonight. Yeah. Thank you for coming along.
If we ever get remarried, you're all on the guest list. Because if we ever get remarried, we're going to be doing it on Zoom because that's what you have to do these days. Right. Well, there's still people.
I'm going to disappear. I'm going to be answering comments. Please fire questions along. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have. We'll do our best to get through all of them. The ones that we don't do, we'll answer off air and share them with you.
Yeah. Any questions at all about the books, about anything else? So we'll say goodbye to Wonderwife. She'll be back later on. She'll also be, fingers crossed, Diller will be doing his trick. I mean, there's been negotiations. He does get stage fright, but we're hopefully. But before that, we're going to introduce a wonderful man, a fine author, a man who has a movie coming out later this year. I mean, he actually had a movie before, but he's got one coming out this year, which is a horror movie set in Ireland, which I was a consultant on, kind of. You can explain that in a minute. But he also has, more importantly, this book coming out on February the 3rd or 4th. 4th. I'm going to say 4th. He'll correct me in a minute. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Marx Day.
Hey!
Look at that. There's his little face. Hello, Mark. How are you, sir?
I'm tickety boo, sir. How are you? Congratulations. Huge congratulations on your publication day. My copy turned up today. I've hugged it. I've sniffed it. It's very important on the publication day of your book to sniff the pages. So, the smell of it. Huge congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. Here's something, by the way, Mark, you should prepare yourself for, because your book, like mine, is coming out in lockdown. I had a very weird thing today where a delivery came to the door, and it was for me, and I was like, oh, brilliant, someone's got me a Prezi. And what happened was, friends of mine who wanted a signed book, because they obviously can't see me because it's lockdown and all that, a couple of them sent me books for me to sign and to send back. So I had the weird sensation of, on the day my book came out, opening a Prezi and going, it's already got it.
I read this.
Disappointing. But yeah, it's been a mad day. I spoke to Simon Mayo again, which, for anyone who's in America, what's the American version of Simon Mayo, do you reckon, Mark?
Oprah Winfrey. It's the Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. Go big. Yeah, but he's like, it's so weird because I've been listening to his voice on the radio for traveled up against gigs for 10 years since I've been here. And I actually was on his podcast a while ago. I shared it on the thing a while ago. It's such an odd thing though, because you know the voice so well. And it's like the radio started talking back to you. And I swear that you really have to focus, because you do kind of feel like you're in a dream, which is never a good thing to feel like when you're on live radio, as I was today. I was on live radio on a classical music station, because that's what he is, a classical show on this classical music station. I thought, of all the places, I swear these people aren't going to like that. I've got to really hang it down now. It's been absolutely fantastic, and thank you everybody. The love on social media and all that has been absolutely brilliant. We have really appreciated it. It's been fantastic.
Well, look, folks, we're just getting started. There's so much to come. As we've said, Diller should be coming later on. This is the big highlight of the evening.
There's also Duncan later on. I feel bad because he's sitting there and he's like going, why is the dog getting such a big build-up? There's also Duncan actually doing music.
We've got music from Duncan. We've got giveaways. We're going to be announcing winners of the bunny named character giveaway. Is that right? We're going to be doing that tonight?
Oh, no, I think we're doing that. Wonderwife, if you're there, if you'd like to pop back on, you might need to explain the giveaways, because I wasn't paying any attention.
Then. So the giveaway tonight we'll be doing, I'm going to put a little tick across the screen. I'm going to ask you to send me an email, and at the end of tonight's live launch, we'll be randomly selecting one lucky one. Actually, that's not true. 2 lucky winners who will win a signed copy of the book, and then we'll have 1 lucky winner who gets a special keyring and a notebook for the Stranger Times along with their book, and then 1 winner will get the notebook. No key ring, unfortunately. There's only 1 of those key rings, and if we're feeling generous, we might give away a few more books. So we'll see how it goes. But there'll all be signed copies, so you'll see the ticker come up, and just drop me an email and we'll select it at the end.
Yeah. To be fair, there were actually two of the key rings, but I have the other one because that's pretty cool. I mean, they've actually made, I don't know if you said, they made a key ring which is a big brass key like the ones that feature in the book. They actually have one of them, which is pretty cool. So if you've not read that far yet, I'm sorry, say again.
Author's privilege to get. Yes. You've got to get the swag, haven't you? You've got to get the swag where you can get it. Yeah. So thank you very much to Elaine for that. It's nice to have a grown-up who can step in the room and settle us all down again. So, folks, I've got some questions for Caimh. We're going to go through some of these questions. We're then going to be doing bits and bobs later on. Put your questions in the comments. Elaine will collate them, and at some point we'll come to you. We'll get your answers to your questions. But, just in case there's anyone in the room who's not looked at the blurb of the book, not read the book, tell us, Caimh, what is Stranger Times about?
There it is. God, it's really hard to. Oh, this is so professional, isn't it?
I'll do it too.
Yeah, you do. It turns out I can't use a camera. Basically, it's a newspaper set in Manchester. It's reporting the weird and wonderful from around the world. Basically, I've always been a little bit obsessed with weird news. I'm a subscriber to a thing called the Fortean Times. It's kind of odd, weird stories from around the world. Actually, do you know what? I read that last night. There's another one there. You can tell me, Mark, hang out a lot, can't you? But I've always been obsessed with those kind of odd things. And I had this idea 15 years ago for a sitcom based in a newspaper kind of like that. And I actually wrote it as a sitcom script, which somebody somewhere in the world might still have a copy of. But no, I don't. I've checked. But basically, I wrote it. My agent at the time didn't seem to get it. Didn't go anywhere. But I always had this idea. I loved it. And then I had to write. I wanted to write something that wasn't the Muddy Books. To do something different a couple of years ago. At this point, we were thinking about it. I had all these ideas up on a board behind me for a serious crime thriller and stuff. I woke up one morning and the idea of remember the Stranger Times. I remember it really, really distinctly. It was such an odd morning. I like my brain had sort of thought of it during the night or something like that. I thought, oh, yeah, Stranger Times. I went to the shower and I was thinking about it. I was remembering all the bits and like the editor Bancroft and stuff. Those things were all there. And I was thinking about it, going, oh, yeah, that was a very different idea. It wasn't a crime idea. It's kind of a more paranormal thing. Literally got out of the shower. I walked to my office where I wrote several of the Bunny books back from our old flat. And it's like a 25-minute walk. And I was walking through Manchester, obviously. And by the time I got there, I was like, I could put that paper here. And I was on the second floor of this old creaky building. I ran upstairs and it was one of those moments where just furiously writing stuff down going, it just all came together. I thought Manchester's a perfect place for it. The actual church that's in it. I could even share a picture of it at some point in the future. The church that the paper is in is actually a building I passed. It's based on a building I pass every day on my way to that office. So it all just sort of came together in my head really quickly. And yeah, from there, it was just kind of rolling really.
Okay. So it's set in a strange, kind of Fortean Times, but it's not as slick as the Fortean Times. It's a bit shambolic. It's past its best, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a sort of weird kind of tabloidy paper that they're sort of struggling to survive. What happens is they're struggling to survive, and then Vincent Bancroft, the editor, comes in. He's fallen on very hard times. The idea was he was like the big guy on Fleet Street in London, the sort of tabloid, the dark prince in charge of a tabloid. And then some stuff happens in his life, and he basically goes into a downward spiral, and he ends up at the Stranger Times, where he is a nightmare to work for. And basically, what we come in with, we meet a lady called Hannah, who's had a bit of a bad life for herself. She basically has just left her philandering husband. She's given up the nice, soft life she has. She is coming, and then she comes to Manchester. She's looking for any job, and this is the only thing she can find is a job with the Stranger Times. And the reason it's available is because nobody can hack working for Vincent Bancroft, because he's basically this monstrous ogre, which, by the way, is so much fun to write. Because actually writing somebody who's absolutely like just cuts everybody down left, right, and center is wonderful. Because we're all I'd like to think nice people in real life. So obviously you don't do that in real life. So the chance to just be that person in your head for a while is a wonderful stress relief. I highly recommend it. So yeah, and then basically she joins the Stranger Times, and then some things happen, and they realize that some of the stories they were reporting aren't quite as fanciful as they first appeared, and there are some very weird things going on under the surface.
We won't say any more on that, but strange things happen in Stranger Times. Now, I know you're a fan of the Fortean Times and weird stuff, and there's some very, very strange things happening in the story. You must have spent ages researching this and looking at weird news stories. Do you have any favorites?
Oh, I was doing this last night. I was going through some weird news stories. There's actually, because I did a game on the radio today with a friend of mine called Jason Manford, who's a brilliant comedian in Britain. He's got his own radio show. And we did a thing where we're talking about the show, and then for a laugh, him and Steve Edge do the radio show. I got some Fortean Times news stories, and some I made up. And we did them on the radio, and then they had to guess which were real and which ones I'd made up. The one we couldn't put in because it was too rude for the time it goes out on a Sunday, but I'll tell you all now because you're all grown-ups, was my favorite one. I think this was in Thailand. There was a guy who got stopped by customs because there was something in his case they couldn't identify. And he was traveling with his mother. And he, honest to God, went to prison because he let the custom guys believe he had a bomb because he did not want his mother to realize that he had a penis pump in his luggage. Now, We live in a messed up world, folks. You all know that. That's why my point is about it the 14 times. I love knowing stuff like that is happening in the world. It's a wonderful thing. So it's all, ghosts and UFOs and stuff like that as well. But I mean, I love all those things. I mean, this because I don't know if have you ever seen a ghost, Mark? Have you ever seen a UFO?
I'm like Mulder. I want to believe, but I've not. I mean, with your white hair, you look like you've seen a ghost. Have you had these supernatural experiences?
Not really. My big thing is I really want to see a UFO. And I was like, genuinely, before I gave up stand-up, I was touring the country with my friends Gary and Sarah, and we'd be in the car with the tour manager and stuff. And when I wasn't driving, I was always looking at the sky at night, just looking at lights going, what about that one? Because we was letting them go, no, that's not a... To be honest, it's best when it's me and my friend Gary, because we get on great, but we got very different views on a lot of things, not least of which he doesn't believe in anything. Which is really annoying because he has a brilliant ghost story where he can't explain what happened to him in this situation, and he doesn't believe in ghosts. He was literally with his old. I'll tell us. He won't know. He was in bed with his old girlfriend. They were asleep. It was a flat down in London, an old flat that the girlfriend had. A big ball of light appeared in the room, and like literally, he lit up an entire dark room, lit up the entire room, and then disappeared. And he said it felt very aggressive. And he went around the whole room looking at everything electrical. They couldn't find any reason for it. They even had like an electrician come in, couldn't find any device. But they said this thing, and it was the same flat where somebody was staying in it a few weeks later. He was staying on their sofa, a mate of theirs. And he said, what was going on during the night? What do you mean? Well, you kept walking up and down the hallway. Ooh. And they were like, nobody had gone into the hallway. Now, what annoys me with that story is that happened to Gary, and Gary doesn't believe anything. Yeah, that didn't happen to me, and I want to believe stuff. Which, but yeah, so I've never seen anything. I actually spent a night in a famous haunted house with a bunch of comedians. A friend of ours called Barry Dodds does a thing called the Parapod, which he talks about. He goes around because he believes in all this stuff, and another mate of ours doesn't believe in any of it. They did a brilliant podcast where the two of them sort of argue about it. But Barry, bless him, does ghost hunting. He brought like 9 comedians with him to this famous haunted, and it was just like a council house somewhere in the north of England. I can't remember where it was now, but nothing happened. It was a lot of fun. My favorite thing was they had this EMF detector on their phone. Someone got this thing on their phone and said, oh, it's an EMF detector. And they were going over beside this area where there's a sofa, and they were going, oh my God, over here, it's going mental. And we're going, oh, wow. And people were getting really excited because I was like going, this is an iPhone. And actually, I genuinely, I read it because I just went, give us your phone for a second. I went, yeah. And I turned it upside down and started going mental. I went, yeah, it just does it by the angle. It can't detect anything. It's an iPhone. So, yeah, I've never seen something. I mean, I don't think I'd like to see a ghost in my house. I'd love to see a UFO. Oh, but yeah, nothing yet. But fingers crossed.
Well, I think we all want to be abducted this year of all years, don't we? So for people, we all love the bunny books. We all love those. And I know there's always demand for more bunny books. And I believe there are more coming, so yeah, that's all cool.
Certainly are,
so
certainly are.
What's different and what's similar with Stranger Times? What will we like if we love the bunny books when we come to Stranger Times?
I mean, I guess they're sort of both written by me, because I've been asked this question quite a bit in writers' podcasts about writing comedy. My serious answer is I actually don't think comedy is a genre. What I think comedy is comedy is a style. And I think when comedy goes badly in a book, it's when someone's just trying to do a gag and it just feels very forced. So what I genuinely, as I said, this behind me is a book, which we can explain in a minute. But I'm genuinely, my focus is the story. And my brain, if you just asked it to go between point A and point B, honestly, that's how I do it. Like, people always ask me, how do you make it funny? And I was like, it's programmed into me. I was a stand-up comic for a long time, even before that, to be honest. I think I've said this before, and Elaine didn't like me saying it, but I said, comedy's hardwired into my brain. Without the ability to be funny, I never would have got, it was my source of income for 20 years. If it wasn't funny, I was never going to get laid. Funny's done a lot of hard work for me to hit the heavy lifting here. So yeah, funny's just hardwired into my brain. It's not like I'm trying to do it; it's just in there. And God knows how annoying it is for people. I remember genuinely quickly, because myself and Gary Delaney used to share a house with Elaine when we were first living together. And someone in her work went to her and went, you live with 2 stand-up comedians. It must be hilarious all the time. And Elaine just went, Well, they can ruin a film for you if that's any good. That's about all they're good for. Because we do. Myself and Gary just sit there and analyse every joke going, that's like one in Blazing Saddles, isn't it? Yeah, it's like that joke in Blazing Saddles. We are horrible to live with. So, yes. To go back to your original question, I've wondered far. By the way, I'm drinking rum. I should point that out. There's a lot of rum in this. May explain a lot. But yeah, the humor's still there because it's me and I couldn't turn it off if I wanted to, really. Obviously, the subject matter is a bit different, but I think as well, the thing that people have said is what all the books have, which I like personally, I think it's really important, is character is the big thing. I think if you make characters people like and love, and and I genuinely feel affection for the characters, Bunny means a lot to me and all that, and all those characters do, which is kind of why I want to keep going back to them. Because I want to find out as much as readers do what's going on. And I think, again, with the Stranger Times, different characters, but they're, again, a sort of family that are dysfunctional, but you do end up sort of pulling for them. Because there's a big thing, particularly in crime, as you know well, Mark. There's all these books with a twist you'll never see coming and so twisty, twisty, twisty. And I know those books sell well, and I know why, and good luck. And I'm not slagging off anyone's book, to be clear. But I'm like, I think the big thing is people want to follow a character, see what happens to them. Not what happens in the story. They want to if you care about the character, you want to see what happens to them. And I always thought all the books I love, Terry Pratchett and all those, they were people who established great characters who you really bonded with.
Fantastic. We've got listener questions piling in, so we'll make a start into those. First one is from Jerry Riley. How difficult was it switching from comedy, so your stand-up comedy, to writing the Bunny books and now this?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it's good, very good question. Thank you. Yeah, people sort of ask about, was it hard? I think actually part of it was, there's a guy called Scott Pack who's my editor for all the Bunny books. He was a wonderful man, and we were great. We were so lucky to get him. It was kind of a lucky thing, but we got him. And one of the big notes he gave me was at the end of A Man at One of Those Faces, the original version. He went the last couple of chapters. You see that joke and that joke and that joke and that joke and that joke. Yeah, they're all good jokes. You need to take them all out because you've made us care about the characters. To go back to sort of our last question. And they're in peril now. And when they're actually genuinely in peril, we don't want the jokes. We want to know they're okay. We want to follow through. So he sort of taught me the importance of, because again, comedy is something I've done instinctively for so long. I think I needed to be told by someone to know when not to do it. And I definitely kind of got better at that. Like Angels, which was the third book, Angels in the Moonlight. That, as people remember, if anyone's read it, it's got some very serious things in it. There's some very dark things that happen in it. And I think that was a book that taught me the importance of, respecting that and not panicking that, oh God, people will want to joke here. And you go, no, they want to hear about the character and this is a traumatic event in their life. So sort of respect it. So I think, you learn the tricks as you go. And people sort of ask me, I got asked a lot today because I was speaking to a couple of friends of mine who are radio hosts who are stand-up comedians and they're like missing stand-up and all that, which is kind of part of it. And honestly, I mean, I missed the performing and stuff. I missed to a certain point, but actually really what I miss most is stand-up comedians. They're genuinely some really interesting people, obviously very funny, very charming people. I mean, to be clear, not all stand-up comedians. Some of them are nightmares. And now I'm retired. I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes naming names. No. Yeah. This is going to get some headlines and chortle. No, but
some bridges.
Yeah. Let's assume we don't need them anymore. No, but my point is genuinely, I missed out that kind of camaraderie. And it's an amazing thing when you do kind of sort of have these people that become part of your life and you end up part of this cult. Like even 20 years from now, I think part of me will still consider myself a stand-up comedian if I've never done another gig, just because it's I'm part of that culture and I love that thing. So I miss that. I got to tour with my great friends Gary and Sarah, and I miss hanging out with them. But sure, the way things are at the minute, no one can do that anyway. But so yeah. But the other side of it is, I honestly feel blessed. I get to come to this room every day. No day do I walk down to my office in the garden and think, oh God, here we go. I genuinely am looking forward to it. I love telling stories. And I find it hard. I did a writer's podcast during the week, Mark, and someone asked a question about it being difficult. And I gave the very honest answer, which was, I don't understand when people stay banging on about that. I think it's a privilege. You get to make stuff up for a living. It's brilliant. I don't understand when people say it's so hard. My first job was cleaning up vomit on a ferry between Ireland and France. And to be honest, that wasn't too bad. This is definitely better than that. So yeah, I think I'm very blessed to be able to do this. And thank you for all you people who've let me do it.
We got some bunny questions coming in as well. So Kelly still asked, will MS Monroe or Muro ever team up with Bunny?
There's no plans for that to happen at the minute, but never say never. I do have a terrible habit. Like I should, the Bunny in America books, which by the way, I should point out because people got confused by this. That was never a trilogy. It's weird how I did the Dublin trilogies. The people assumed that the books in America was going to be a trilogy. I have a rough idea where it might end, but it was never going to be a trilogy. People kind of assumed that, and then we had a couple of people getting angry at the end of the last book, going, "Why is he not found Simone?" No, so that was never going to be a trilogy, to be clear. But I do have a weird thing where when Bunny went to America, I was like, it's much more sort of, I'm going to make it much more standalone, and it's going to be like, a bit sort of like, I don't know, Jack Reacher in that regard. Almost there'll be standalone books. And then the first thing I did in Disaster Inc. was I came up with Smithy and Diller, which are two characters I love, who not only have appeared in every Bunny book since, but they've had their own book. I just keep collecting characters I like. I don't know, it's because I was quite a solitary kid, but I keep building up these teams of people I like, and then I can't let them go. So at some point, there might be the great big Bunny Stranger Times crossover, which will almost certainly be a disaster because it'll make no sense. But there won't be. I shouldn't float that. People, no, there won't be, because that would. I mean, to be clear, Bunny fighting a werewolf, that'd be fun. But it would, to say it would mess up storylines would be an understatement. It'd be a hell of a left turn for Bunny's story. But yeah, so sorry, yes, I don't think that answered the question.
I think so. We've had another. I'm not sure if this is from Kelly, but it's which do you prefer writing, Bunny or Stranger Times? Now, isn't this like choosing your children or choosing your favorites?
Honestly, the best thing about it is when you're doing one, you're excited to go back to the other one, and I think that's the thing, because I've written, there's now 9 books in the Bunnyverse, as we like to call it. And I think the great thing is the Stranger Times. Look, I've already written the first draft, the second one. That's what that is, behind me. The great thing is you change from doing one to the other. It lets you explore a different thing. Because to be honest with you, as a writer, I did a master's. I did half a master's in creative writing, and then I left because I didn't find it particularly useful beyond chatting to other writers and doing that, which was great. But I'm basically teaching myself as I go how to write books and stuff. So I'm always, as I keep saying in emails, I'm always trying to push myself and write a different book. And I never want to. It's why Bunny left Ireland. I didn't want to write the same stuff again and again and again. I just thought it was important to expand myself all the time. And the great thing with the Stranger Times is it's let me do other stuff. And I think I honestly believe it's going to improve the Bunny books. And like I wrote The Quiet Man after I'd written Stranger Times. And I'd like to think it's the best Bunny book. And I like to think it's part of that was kind of I'd learned some tricks from doing the Stranger Times.
Absolutely. Sarah Cox asks, is that a plan for another book behind you? Now you've hinted at this. Should we talk about this now?
Yes, this is you can see, I'll even move the little camera doodah. That up there, if people always ask how you do books, that looks like a complete mess. There is actually some method to the madness. This is weirdly, because as I say, The Stranger Times is my first traditionally published book, with the lovely people at Trans World. So weirdly, I had to submit the second book before the first one was published. So I've now completed the first draft of the next Stranger Times book, which I'm pretty pleased with. But this is how I lay it out. And to give you a quick thing, this is how the Bunny books work as well. All those different colors are like a different character, because in all of my books I go from one character to another character. So like in the Bunny books, you'll be like The Quiet Man, for example. It was Bunny, then the sisters, then somebody else, the warden, then back to them. So all of that, the different colors were like that. And again, for the Stranger Times, that's Bancroft and Hannah and all those things. And then all the post-it notes here, when I'm writing something, if I'm writing chapter 30 and I think of something that should have happened in the first 5 chapters that will set up something in chapter 30, I whack up a post-it note, and then I remember to do that when I'm rewriting it. So yeah, that's how it all works out. And then it's because you can do all that on a screen, but I find it so much better I can literally turn around. The dog is usually sitting in a bed behind me. I can sit there for half an hour just petting the dog's head while he's trying to sleep, staring at the board until my brain goes, all right, that makes sense all of a sudden. So yeah, that's my method, as to sound really quite wanky.
No, it's wonderful. We love it. Let's talk about the bigger world around Stranger Times, because it's not just a book. There are podcasts, there's a website, there's a whole world out there that people can explore. Tell us how that came about and why you did that.
Yeah, well, the short answer is 2020. I don't know if you've been watching the news, but it's been a little bit. I say 2020/2021 at this point. But yeah, honestly, what happened last year was The Stranger Times was coming out, and I was going to do. I've given away short stories with the Bunny books, which I'm sure everyone who's a fan will probably have got that. If not, sign up to the main list, and you'll get one. But I was doing a couple for The Stranger Times, honestly, and it really was just I'm going to do a couple because I had a couple of nice ideas, and then. Last year, because it was kind of, to be honest, we were supposed to go to like holidays and we're supposed to be in America at some point and all this, none of which obviously happened. We all know why. I kind of needed sort of breaks just to keep myself mentally stimulated from just doing the books. And I started, short stories were a great, fun way. And the great thing with The Stranger Times in particular, the one advantage it probably has over the Bunnyverse is that paranormal stuff just instantly gives you great ideas for a short story. I mean, like you and me, Mark, could go to an episode of Copy the 40 Times right now, and we could pick out 5 stories each and go, oh, that'd be a short story. Just instantly, like some guy dressed as a gorilla is living in the attic of his ex-wife's house for 2 weeks. That's a story. I mean, it's not a novel, but it's definitely, it's perfect for a short story. Anything odd like that is great for a short story. So I just wrote a couple of more, really just thought, well, we'll use them for something. And then I had them and I thought, I know so many wonderful people who are stand-up comedians, really talented in so many ways, who are frankly sitting around with nothing to do because live performance is not a thing. So I kind of got the idea about, we should get some of them to narrate it. Like we'll get a couple to narrate stories. And we started off getting a friend of mine called Toby Haydoke, a great friend of ours who did a brilliant job, and he's done narration before. And then we got Ben, who was in Game of Thrones, who's an amazing actor. He's been in so much brilliant stuff, but I actually just met him because he's actually a stand-up comedian. Weirdly, people don't know he's a stand-up comedian because his acting career went mental, but so he did another one for us. He was the first one in the episode, and then we got Laura Lex, and then it just sort of became a thing where it got fun to write ideas. And to be honest, even now, what's really cool now is people have heard them, enjoyed them, and people stand up to such a brief short stories. For example, there's a character in The Stranger Times, Stanley, I think that's right. I'm so bad with names. Who's a tabloid journalist. I did a short story involving him, which you can see if you sign up to The Stranger Times, the mailing list, which you can get to at thestrangertimes.co.uk. And there's a short story called Dance with the Devil in that, which is about him. And then he actually ends up becoming a bigger part of the second book. And there's other things I figured out, like there's a quite cool thing with tattoos in the world and what they mean, just to give a little hint for the second book, which is a quite cool thing. And by the way, about the podcast, more importantly than anything, the theme song is brilliant. It's written by a man called Alan McGuire, who is my oldest friend. He literally sat beside me in school. I say he sat beside me in school. He rarely turned up. But when he was there, to be honest, he was homeschooling before it was popular. Oh my God, he's here. I did not realize that. Hello, Alan. But yes, it was him, it was me, and it was a man called Pascal Donoghue, who is now the Irish Minister for Finance, who, God love him, has to find the money for everybody being furloughed. I'm so much happier I took this job.
People are starting to ask, "Where's Diller? Have we got any sightings on Diller?"
Elaine, do you want to have Diller's big performance now? We still have to do the thing. So I'm looking this way, by the way, because I can see the back door of my own house. So I'm literally looking up to see. I think she may have wandered off. I mean, she may have taken this a nice chance for a nap. But Elaine, are you there? Here we go. All right, make yourself full screen, love, because this is so everyone can see Diller. So if you've not seen Diller's thing before, he does a pretty amazing spin move where if you give him a bit of chicken. But make sure we can get the full effect in now, because I'll be honest.
Hello.
Now, turn the camera down, love. Turn the camera down so we can see Diller. There we go. Where is he? Where is he?
This is high-tech stuff, isn't it?
If anything, that's too close. But right. Okay. Get into. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
What's this?
Spin. Oh, don't worry. He spins in a minute. Go on. He'll get it. Yay! Yay! And what's great about this is the angle is just right that you don't see his penis, because that would have been awkward. I'm quite pleased that worked out quite well.
We normally have a 2-trick minimum. We do it twice, and then he's just like, no, just leave the chicken.
He literally does it twice, and then he looks at you like, just give me the freaking chicken. But there he is. There's my little boy. Oh, he's such a good dog. But yes, thank you very much. You can now. Oh, hello. Hello. That was awkward. I'm just having a little bit of rum. I haven't got a problem. It looks bad, but this isn't what I do all the time down here. Big thank you to Diller. Wait, you see now. You'll just see the number of people in the room just dive bomb. Now they know they've seen the dog. It's like, whoop.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. That was the. We've shot our load now. That was the money shot, was it? And the job coming so cute, a legend, handsome lad. Yeah, these aren't.
He's a good boy. Yeah, don't buy a puppy. Do the adoption thing. He's a good boy. Round of applause to Diller. Yes, I'm assuming there's a couple of hundred people now clapping their arses off for the dog. I'm assuming that's happening. Do we have more questions? Because we also have to do the publishing first, where an author reads out the acknowledgements for his own book, which has never been done before, largely because it's a terrible idea. But we're breaking new ground, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we've got a couple more questions, but we can save those for a minute. I mean, shall we do the acknowledgements?
Do the questions, then we can do the reading, and then we can.
Okay. How's the touch typing going? And have you made a friend with the Y key? Because you've been complaining about this, haven't you? And it is tricky, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, no. For those of you, I've decided weirdly. My New Year's resolution was when I was home in Ireland, because we went home and did isolation for 2 weeks, just to be clear, good citizens. And then we stayed with my mother for a couple of weeks. And while I was there, I decided I was going to learn how to touch type. So I now have the weird split keyboard thing. And it's getting better. Put it this way, the email I'm guessing most people here received today, I touch typed that. Thank you very much.
It's very good.
It's going pretty well. Still not like the Y is still a prick. And I'll be honest, I might change the spelling of Buddy's name and stick an I at the end. Just because really don't like the Y key. But outside of that.
Have you ever tried the dictation thing where you can lounge on your chaise lounge and dictate the novel?
Honestly, a good friend of yours and mine, Ian Sainsbury, does that, and he explained it to me. I can't even begin to start thinking about what it. Bear in mind, I cannot get my own phone to say my name correctly. I think if I spoke the Queen's English, but I wasn't raised to do that. Buried grand under a flag for a reason. I speak like this. No. So I honestly, the dictation thing, as it is, I speak far too fast. So I think I need a keyboard just to slow me down to normal human levels. As it is, a lot of you, God love you, the Americans, I hope you can understand what I'm saying. You might well be standing there going, it's like seeing an Englishman talk to a fax machine. But by the way, I just not to steal your thunder, Mark. I just saw a couple of questions there. When is the audio version of The Quiet Man due? Very soon. We actually have the files. There was a little technical difficulty, but I have them. We just need to re-record a couple of them. But it's coming very soon, I promise. What does the K stand for? Oh yeah, C.K. McDonald. Genuinely, I don't know if you know this, Mark, because you and me have the same agent, the wonderful Ed. And I must have explained to you how I ended up being C.K. Did I? Have I told you?
You know what? I don't recall, so share it.
I'll tell you again. Well, basically, we didn't want to use Caimh because we use that for the buddy books, and it's best to have a different name for different genres on Amazon anyway. But so I said I put on the manuscript C/K, which was supposed to stand for Caimh/Kevin, because I don't know if most of you know this, but Caimh is short for Caoimhín, which is the origin of Kevin, and I put C/K. Ed, our agent, just looked at it and went, oh, CK. Okay, fair enough. CK McDonald. And we sort of had a nice ring to it. And to be honest, bless him, my editor, Simon, is a lovely, lovely man at Transworld. Such a good editor, such a nice man. But he's also, and I don't think he'd mind me saying this, it's not an insult. He's very English. Tremendously English man. He genuinely, that stereotype that you Americans have of an Englishman, I think Simon kind of fulfills some of it in the best way possible, to be absolutely clear. He's never taken over a country I'm from, not once. But he's a lovely man. But I remember it coming up in conversation, and when we said, "Oh, we'll use like CK instead of Caimh," I remember how relieved he looked because he was obviously dreading the conversation where he has to go to an Irishman going, "Would you mind being less Irish?" Because it's really quite inconvenient. Because I'll be honest, nobody can spell Caimh, nobody can say Caimh. They get very angry if you ask them to. So we decided it made sense. So weirdly, my dad did get annoyed because he went, "That's not your initials any which way. Your middle name is Gerard." But yeah, C actually is weirdly, I've got my name in 2 languages. That's where CK comes from.
Excellent stuff. Now, coming back to Stranger Times,
Yes.
okay, there's an audiobook that's out there. Or was there some issue with the United States?
Yes.
Do you want to
Americans? Because there's been a few people asking what's going on with it. Weirdly, they have a bit of trouble. There's a weird glitch on Audible in the States where the book isn't available. It's available everywhere else on audio in America, so any other providers, but not audible.com. Weirdly, some people got around it though, which is really odd. If you can't get it, send Wonderwife an email or send it through to just reply to our email, and we have a link we can send you, which bizarrely seems to work. But I think it's getting fixed in the next day anyway. It's just one of those Amazon are, great in some ways. I'm not going to slag them off because I think they've probably got bots listening to every live thing to find out if you do. But they are rather intransigent. It is kind of like trying to negotiate with the government or something. So, yeah, they do have a few things like that. But I think it's getting sorted out in the next 24 hours. But, yeah, thank you, because a few people have mentioned it tonight, and we luckily figured it out now just before we came on here.
And some people are asking about the paperback and book 2. Can you give us any kind of timeline for those?
Book 2 should be in January 2022, where, for the love of God, the world will be a better place. If it's not, then me and the dog are going to do that thing. It'd be like that film, The Road, where we're just heading out. I mean, not far, because I can't walk anywhere near. But yeah, so yes, I think January 2022, which sounds so weird to say now. And I think the paperback, I think it was supposed to be happening in like July, August, but I think because of the pandemic, it might be happening in January 2022 as well. But obviously, if you're on the mail list, we'll let you know well before that. Although if you live in Australia, apparently you can get a paperback there now. That's just one of the many great reasons to live in Australia.
That's the trade paperback. It's generally cheaper to print them in paperback. So I worked in publishing book selling for 25 years. I could talk about C formats and trade paperbacks all evening, but we're not here to talk about that.
Sorry, I've seen a couple of messages. First off, Alfie Joey's just seen his face. The wonderful Alfie Joey. I love him to bits. He's a wonderful man. He was a fabulous stand-up comedian and just a wonderful MC. And he actually does a show on BBC Newcastle. I did a thing with him yesterday, and it was so lovely. I genuinely, we were talking, if you heard earlier on, Alfie, I was talking about missing stand-up comedy, and I miss stand-up comedians because I was talking to yourself and Toby Foster today, and I realized how much I missed hanging out with people like that. So thank you very much for having me on, and I hope I didn't swear on your show. I think I didn't. And everyone else, is this a trilogy, Stephen Armitage? Fingers crossed it's more than a trilogy. I would like to write for the Stranger Times for quite some time because I've got a lot of ideas, and same with Buddy. I don't see an end in sight, I'm happy to say. So want a reading. Shall we do would you like to do the reading?
Let's do that now. And then maybe we can line up giveaways, and then we've got music coming. So there's more to come, folks.
Yes, my God, it's 12 minutes. Right. You're about to see literary history, ladies and gentlemen. I will be the first author in history to read from the acknowledgements of his own book. I thank you. And to be clear, these acknowledgements are not written by me. They're written by Minty van der Flirt, who is the psychic obituarist for the Stranger Times, because I have basically predicted how everyone involved with the book is going to die. The author has asked me to thank the following people. Simon Taylor, editor extraordinaire, who dies in a boating accident while on holiday in 2076. The accident is especially tragic as the UK is still in lockdown at the time, and he will be sitting in his front room reading a book when it happens. Authorities will initially be baffled as to how a speedboat hit a landlocked apartment. Rebecca Wright, a different but equally important type of editor, dies while trying to scale the Forth Bridge in an effort to correct a particularly egregious spelling of the word transcendental in some graffiti. Judith Welch, all-seeing, all-knowing managing editor, who dies while riding an enraged bull through the streets of Leamington Spa, dressed as all of Henry VIII's wives, and being chased by a pack of irate, one-eyed Boy Scouts on mopeds. There is a fascinating story behind how that comes to happen, but sadly, space in this publication is limited. Marianne Isa El Kahur, who I've just realised I didn't check the pronunciation of her name, and I have absolutely butchered that. I cannot apologise enough. And the woman is a genius cover designer who dies a tantalising 6 feet from the summit of Mount Everest. A particularly galling way to go, as she initially only dipped out to the corner shop for some tea bags, and things sort of escalated. Sophie Bruce and Ruth Richardson for their marketing expertise. Sophie will die tragically when the skywriting plane she is piloting runs out of fuel in the middle of a promotional stunt for a book she is launching. The inquest will agree that the sequel to the previous book, where What's-His-Face and Thingy-Me-Bob look like they're about to finally get it on, but somehow don't, but at least they managed to solve a crime amidst all the sexual tension, and there's a good bit with a dog, is really too long a title for a book. Ruth dies when the aforementioned skywriting plane lands on her house, which really is spectacularly bad luck. Tom Hill for his PR brilliance. He will die when crushed by a stampede of delirious readers, desperate to get hold of a copy of a book that he is promoting. He should be remembered as having died from a job well done, although the autopsy will go with the rather less prosaic, massive internal injuries. The author would also like to thank all of the wonderful staff at Transworld, who live long and happy lives before dying in weird and interesting ways, all inexplicably involving cauliflower. Gushings of thanks to super agent Ed Wilson, who was initially feared dead when swept up in an avalanche of unsolicited manuscripts from would-be writers. However, it is later discovered that he merely used that as an opportunity to start a new life with his family. He renames himself Eddie Big Ideas Munchin Gladbach and embarks on a career as an inventor. He eventually dies by execution, being the first person in over a century to do so, when it is discovered he was behind a tragically ill-conceived speedboats delivered to your door scheme. His wondrous partner in crime and foreign rights, Helene Butler, goes on to enjoy great success writing, directing, and producing the hit film Speed Kills, the Ed Wilson story. She dies from a particularly bad glass of champagne at the Oscars. Thanks to Scott Pack, who shuffles off this mortal coil while disrupting and reinventing the publishing world in general, but in particular from not looking up from his phone while simultaneously tweeting and walking. Thanks to Can Johnson, Sam Gore, Graham Goring, and Gary Delaney, who joined the long line of people who have unsuccessfully reinvented the submarine. And to all of those who would go on to contribute to the Stranger Times podcast, particularly Alan McGuire, who did the music. And they are all tragically hunted down and killed by some guy who was, ironically, a big fan of the podcast and the website. Because people in general, and men in particular, are weird. Thank you to Mammy and Daddy McDonald, who die as they lived, spelling out the name McDonald to people over the phone who still inexplicably write it down the wrong way. I mean, seriously, 2 N's and 2 L's. How fucking hard is that? Finally, thank you to Elena Forey, aka Wonderwife, for a list of things far too long to be contained in print. She lives forever, but never remarries. Consider yourselves duly acknowledged. I'll be honest, you should have done that before the second drink. Was there much slurring there? It felt like there was slurring there. Oh.
It was wonderful, and we've had a question from Sarah Doherty, who says, "Is there a chance you would read your own audiobooks? Is that on the cards?"
No, I'll be honest. I almost did. I started actually genuinely doing. I got some lessons from a voice coach and everything when I started doing the. I was going to do the bunny books, and then frankly, it's all your fault, folks, because the bunny books took off, and Morgan, who anyone's listened to the audiobooks, was great. He was basically, we got loads of, I probably shouldn't say, we got loads of auditions from lots of people, and a lot of them weren't very good. And we got one from Morgan, and he was brilliant. Just the timing, everything was perfect. But Morgan is honestly one of the top voiceover guys in Ireland, like the very best. We actually heard his voice on an advert on TV when I was home at Christmas. And Morgan was quite a bit. And at the time we were sort of starting off, we were like, oh, we can't really afford that. And then luckily a year later, the books had taken off, and all of a sudden we could get someone in Morgan's quality. And Morgan does such a good job that I'll be honest with you, I hear when I'm writing, I hear the books in Morgan's voice. And I'm so used to his rhythm and stuff. So, and we've got a wonderful man, Brendan, doing the Stranger Times as well, which is great. And he's done such a good job because, again, we did auditions and we tried a few different people, and he just knocked it out of the park.
Fantastic. Are we ready for giveaways? Are we ready for music? Is that what we could be doing now?
Yes, absolutely. Elaine, do you want to do the
giveaway? I just need a bit more time. Thank you so much for sending emails, but I've been overwhelmed by them. So I'm just trying to collate all of those and put them into my random generator. So if we go over to music now, we can do it at the end.
Fantastic.
Okay. All right then. In which case, yeah. Okay. I think there he is, Uncle Dunk. He's muted, but he's going to be unmuted because otherwise this is going to be a very difficult performance for him. You got to admire a man who wears sunglasses in his own house. I mean, that's commitment to rock and roll.
They're readers too.
Oh,
these bright studio lights in my son's bedroom. I gotta protect my aging eyes. I'd like to say how proud of my friend Caimh I am for writing all these books. So proud that I might even read this one, and especially as for asking me to do this. For doing this for him, he's actually told me he's going to let me have a copy of this book half price. So I might even read it.
Mate, give it a week, we'll have loads of them half price. But ladies and gentlemen, take it away, Duncan Oakley.
We found some almost relevant songs to put together as a medley for you tonight. Here in my son's bedroom, where my camera's going out of focus. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. When they lay me down to die, going up to the spirit in the sky. Going on up to the spirit in the sky. It's where you're gonna go when you die. When you die and they lay you to rest, you're gonna go to the place that's the best. There's something strange in your neighborhood. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. There's something weird and it don't look good. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. Saw a werewolf with a Chinese menu in his hand, walking through the streets of Charlton in the rain. He wasn't looking for the place called Holy Folks. I'm gonna have a big plate of beef chow mein. Ahoo, werewolves of Charlton. Ahoo, ahoo, werewolves of Charlton. You might hear him howling round your kitchen door. Better not let him in. Little old lady got mutilated late last night. Werewolves are Charlton again. Ahoo, werewolves are Charlton. Ahoo, ahoo, werewolves are Charlton. Ahoo.
Rock and roll!
Free bird!
Place is skittered, man! You know what, Def Leppard? That's what I used to shout that every gig for like 10 years in Dublin. Just a couple of friends of mine will remember that. Oh God, him shouting, do you know what, Def Leppard? It's like no matter what gig I was at, Neil Young, Bob Dylan, do you know what, Def Leppard? Hated it. I was a terrible human being. Still am. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Mr. Duncan Oakley. I'm assuming you're all applauding. I mean, almost as much as the dog got. No one's getting more than the dog. I mean, he's good, but. By the way, for any Americans, Chorlton's in Manchester. We should explain that. Right, quickly.
One final question, and about 150 people have asked this. When are the books, any books, Bunny books, Stranger Times, when are they being made into TV, films, stage shows, puppet shows, animation? They want to see it on a screen as well as on a page.
Oh, a couple of things. It was mentioned before. The Stranger Times we had a bidding war. That was fucking weird. With basically a wonderful company called Playground are involved with it now, and it's going well. But TV is crazy, so I'm kind of leaving it. But I can tell you stuff's happening in the background. I can also tell you, I can't tell you the name of the company, but a big British production company with a wonderful comedian / director who's won awards. People, if they know comedy, might figure that out. Is attached to the Bunny books now, and they've optioned them. So what happens is they have the rights, and they're going to try and go to broadcasters and make a TV show, same as the other ones are doing. So weirdly, they're both in a spot where they're sort of out there looking for stuff. So there's been an article this evening that came out on a British comedy blog which says the Stranger Times probably made into a TV show or something like that. Basically, that guy doesn't understand, unfortunately, quite what an option is. Even when I was answering the questions when I got sent them last week, I thought, does this guy know what these mean? So, look, there's a chance, but to be clear, TV, as Mark will tell you, who's worked in that area, is absolutely crazy. But there's a chance. But whatever happens, there's going to be a lot more books. Before I finish, by the way, I have to mention again this wonderful man, Mark Stake. Thank you very much. The Crow Folk, that's his book. What's coming out on February the 4th?
February 4th. Yes.
February the 4th. We're doing one of these actually for him, and I'm going to interview him on that night. I'll probably be sober, and I mean, if you want, I can see if the dog will do the trick again. I mean, if you want to give it a bit of a sizzle. But it's a wonderful book. I've read it, and it's a fantastic book. And Mark is a brilliant author, and he's also got a film coming out this year.
Possibly this year. Possibly. The trouble is, every film from last year has been cancelled. Is coming into this year, and then they're now starting to cancel those films too. So this year might be iffy. Might be.
You could take Black Widow. I think going head to head, you'd be fine against Black Widow.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, it's coming out soon. I'll put it in my main list as well because I'm genuinely very excited because I got to read the script because it's based in Ireland, so I was his paddy consultant.
Yes.
But Wonderwife, have you done your magic with the doodahs to give away the prizes? He said, "Oh, there she is. Hello." There's she's gone again. Fingers crossed. Next time, the other half of her face will turn up again. It's that was even less for. There you go. Have we done the doodah?
I'm still going through. So what I'm going to do, we'll do 3 now. And then all the remaining names we'll put in another drawer for another 3, and we'll announce those winners on Facebook because I don't want anybody to miss out because I'm too slow. So I mean, I'm brilliant at multitasking, but just like I thought it turns out. So okay, bear with me. I'm just going to go to my fancy smancy.
She's got a random number generator. She used it for something previously.
No, this is more high tech. This is a special wheel of fortune type thing.
Can we see the wheel?
Oh, hang on. Let me.
This is probably going to go horribly wrong if we try.
I have to put a password in. You see, so I'm just doing the password bit.
Okay, try not to mouth it when you're typing it in, love, because there's a lot of people watching.
and it happens to be a naughty word as well, so you know.
That's a given. And as someone pointed, Oxy, hello, Oxy. Yes, it is like the opening. Someone else said it is like the opening sequence in Dallas, the opening subtitles in Dallas. Elaine's too young to remember Dallas. That's depressing for you, Mark.
I was an avid watcher of Dallas and Dynasty and the Colbys, the work.
I saw is a random thing where you're filling in time. The actor who was the husband to Miss Ellen on Dallas, I saw him do a musical in Dublin doing Oklahoma. My dad is a big fan of musicals, and we went to see Oklahoma with the guy who was the thing in Dallas. There's a fascinating fact for you.
Sorry, I've just deafened everybody doing the draw.
I was going to say, is that the wheel of torture? What happened there?
So I'm just going to share my screen. I can't speak now. Share my screen quickly for the first winner, so you can see this high-tech tool that I'm using.
Cracking.
But that also involves me using technology effectively. See, I can do Zoom.
You could just
and Teams.
If you want, love, you can just, people will believe you. You seem like you've got an honest face. If you want to just tell us the name.
Hang on.
I mean, this is a weird thing to. Just have a look at it. Hello to everyone, by the way.
Right. So our first winner.
Look at that.
Is Steve Leach.
Steve Leach, come on down. So
you could just email me your address.
Steve Leach, email your address to my lovely wife, please.
You will get a signed copy with a notebook and a special key ring.
We got the key ring. Oh, he's the big winner. He's the big winner. And
so, spin the wheel again.
Everyone! Oh, you can see your name. That's exciting. Oh, lucky Rosemary. Oh, hang on. Oh, Marion. Oh, that's gonna hurt me. I mean, Marion's gonna leave a very harsh review on Amazon.
So we are using a signed book as well as the notebook.
Someone says, look, it does look like the Wheel of Lunch. You're not wrong. What I think of, by the way, if you get a chance, folks, do bung a review up on Amazon, please. That's always good.
And so
sorry, are we one more to go? Was that right?
One more to go, and then the rest will be drawn later on.
Cool. And I tell you, this graphics is pretty impressive. I didn't know we didn't even do this in rehearsal. This is new. She's just come up with this now. This is why you married this. Oh my God! It's going to be Jenny Saunders. Come on down. I think we can all agree we don't need that sound effect again. I thought I missed the roar of a crowd. Then I've heard the roar of a crowd. Turns out I wasn't. Don't like it.
If all the winners could send me their details, and I'll get that out to them, and then I will draw another 3 based on the remaining names, and then I will be in touch with you to let you know that you've won.
Excellent. Shall I wrap everything up now, love? Should that be the correct thing to happen now?
Yeah. We've kept these good people from their homes and their lives for far too long, and just want to say thank you for attending.
Oh, one quick, Mark.
I just want to say, folks, if this isn't enough Caimh for you, we've got him coming on the Bestseller Experiment podcast in a couple of weeks. 25th of Jan, it goes live. That will be more about the craft of writing, the behind-the-scenes stuff, what those strange postcards mean up there, all that kind of stuff. He's been on before, but he's coming on again, and we are absolutely delighted to have him. And Caimh, thank you so much for asking me to help out tonight. It's been an absolute joy, and best of luck with the book. I love it to bits, love every page, and it deserves to be an absolute smash.
Thank you very much, Mark. Again, The Crow Folk is coming out on February the 4th. I will be pushing it in the mail list and stuff as well. Thank you again, Mark. You've been, frankly, a much-needed air of professionalism to the events. I mean, you weren't as good as the dog, but nobody's been as good as the dog.
No one's as good as the dog, no.
Listen, folks, thank you very much for coming up. I'll be honest, we were kind of worried this would just be the 3 of us in Duncan, because I've done those gigs before. So it's lovely you've all turned up. Thank you very much. If we missed any questions, do email them in and stuff. To be honest, this has been such fun. We might do it again. We'll have a look because it's been a good crack. And yes, if you get a chance, please tell your friends about the book. I'll be honest with you, today has been kind of great because launching a book in the middle of a pandemic, literally when there's no bookstores open, has been incredibly tough, and I was thinking this is going to be a disaster, and then today's been pretty cool. Friends of mine from the comedy circuit got behind it, started telling people about it. You wonderful people have been sharing it on Facebook and all the social medias, and that is incredible because nothing, doesn't matter what you get, like quotes from all the newspapers, nothing is as good as a friend saying, I've enjoyed this book. And that's frankly how Bunny became what it is. And thank you again, because you great people have been helping us out again with the Stranger Times, and we sincerely love you. I've had a drink, I might start crying. give it an hour. I'm going to be at that point where I'm going to be drunk in front of the telly, where the dog's going to go to the other room because I'm getting a bit too touchy-feely with hugging him. But you people have been brilliant. Today's been kind of brilliant when I thought it was going to be a bit of a anticlimax. And thank you very much for all your help. So you've been wonderful. We'll see you again very soon. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you very much, and thank you to Duncan. Thank you to Wonderwife. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to Diller. Thank you very much. We'll see you very soon. Take care of yourself. Lots of love. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.